Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, my name is Becky and I make videos on van life, minimalism, holistic health, slow living, and I'm also a professional massage therapist. So I'm going to be bringing some new content all about those things very soon. So if you'd like to follow me, then please go ahead. Today I would like to share with you my personal journey from having an autoimmune disease. Having an autoimmune disease means that you don't function the same as somebody else who has normal health. Now, I've suffered from having a thyroid condition since the age of 9. There are two types of condition of thyroid, and there is hypothyroid and hyperthyroid. One is an overactive thyroid, one is an underactive thyroid. Now, since the age of 9, I've actually had both types, and that is through the medication and the treatment that I have had. Let me take you back to the day where it all happened. So I was 9 years old, at school, perfectly happy, healthy, and very sociable child. I went and had my vaccine, just the same as everybody else. Didn't know at the time that this would change my life forever. Within half an hour of having the vaccine, I had collapsed. I had passed out on the floor. I was having severe body shakes. I was hot, I had a rash, and I couldn't function. I couldn't speak properly, and I didn't know what the hell was going on with me. I was rushed to hospital where they did a series of tests to try and figure out what was wrong with me. They didn't know. I went home and spent that week just trying to figure out what on earth was going on with me, and just meanwhile getting sicker and sicker and sicker. At the end of that week, I started to swell. My body started to gain a lot of weight, and I put on so much weight in that short amount of time, as well as the swelling continuing up through my body until it reached my eyes. Now at this point, my parents were extremely worried. I was very upset and worried about myself too, because this body that I knew so well was starting to do things I had no control over. My parents rushed me to A&E, where the doctors and nurses took again a series of tests, blood tests, scans, you name it, they did it all, because they were extremely worried that if the swelling got past my eyes and up into my brain, that I would develop brain damage, and that would result in a major operation or further health conditions, or even death. That was a very, very difficult time for me, bearing in mind that I was still only 9 years old and didn't know what the hell was going on. Thankfully, the swelling didn't continue. It stopped. It didn't go, but it stopped at my eyes. And for the next 3-4 years, I tried to make somewhat of a life with having this new body. I was tired all the time. I couldn't understand what people were saying to me. They would talk to me and it would be as if they were speaking a different language. I couldn't compute with my brain what they were asking me, and it would take a long time for me to process the words and the action that I needed to take in order to respond to them. It felt as if I was in a glass box that was completely soundproof, and I was trapped inside, and I couldn't communicate to the people outside, and they couldn't get through to me. It was a very strange time, and I suffered with that for many, many years. And even now, sometimes if I'm extremely tired or I've done too much, I start to lose that cognitive function. So it's something that I still have to maintain even to this day. But going back to that point when I couldn't communicate and people couldn't communicate with me, it was very isolating. I was very lonely, and I was also suffering with the fact that I was a young girl. I was, relatively pretty. I was quite happy with how I looked, but suddenly my body was changing and I was turning into a very overweight, unhappy person. And on the outside, I just looked a mess, and it didn't reflect who I was inside. I actually felt trapped inside my body, and even now when I look at photographs of how I looked and how ill I was, I still get really upset about it. I'm going to insert some photos now of what I was when I was 8 and what I looked like and how I was. You can see from the photo that I was a very happy child. I was very slim and very thin-boned and very, full of life. The next photo is one of me a year later, after all of this had kicked off and I was in the midst of trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And you can see that there is just a complete and utter change in my personality. I look very unhappy, I am very overweight, and nothing I did or tried could change that. When I finally was diagnosed with a hypothyroid issue, I was put on some medication, which was thyroxine medication or levothyroxine, which is the standard medication from the GP. Now, I didn't know anything about holistic health at this point. I was still very young, and I trusted my parents and I trusted the medical system. And I went along that route trying to get results. I trusted that route for many, many years, and I was under a specialist with the surgery who recommended me to go to them. I went to the local hospital, and I was not really content with how I was, but I felt as if I was being heard and treated well. That changed when things started escalating again. My symptoms were getting more and more worse, whereas before, when I was on the thyroxine to start with, things started to lessen and get better. But that didn't last long. It turns out that for me personally, I became immune to levothyroxine, and I've since researched that, and it can happen to many people. So that is what happened to me. I became immune to my medication, so therefore the symptoms came flooding back. Now, it's not to say that they had gone completely. I would say they were probably 20% better with the levothyroxine. So a little improvement, but nowhere near the improvement that I needed to feel healthy and back to my old self. Moving on from that then, from discovering that the medication I was on was ineffective and that I was just taking a tablet that was doing nothing, I challenged my doctor and said, what else can we do? So he decided that he would up the dosage. So I went from being very overweight, lethargic and sluggish to then being completely hyper and overactive. I lost all of the weight and went down to 7.5 stone in a month, which was extreme, but in the opposite direction. I felt completely anxious. I had panic attacks. I had heart palpitations. I had night sweats. I couldn't sit still. I would be juddering and jittering all day long and not able to sit still and be calm. I was very afraid, and I just couldn't switch my mind off. I couldn't sleep. So you can see that from one extreme to the other, it was very sudden, and it still wasn't the result that I was looking for, and I was still very unhealthy. Went back to the doctor, and he basically owned up and said that he didn't know what he was doing and that he was just using me as a guinea pig and just testing the levels. At which point I got very angry, because I think I was about 11, 12 at this time, because I'd had it for quite a few years and was trying to give it a go and trust the doctors. At that point, I said enough is enough. I've wasted all of these years of my life feeling unwell and not getting any results. So I'm gonna go out on my own and find my own results. So I left the surgery and I left them to it. I haven't been back to this day. That is my own choice. I would say that since I made that decision, it has been the best thing I have ever done. I've sought out my own answers and my own ways to heal myself, and it has been by far the best result I have ever had going the medical route. Now, I'm not saying that this is for everyone. Everyone has their own choice, but I'm just explaining to you my journey, and hopefully it will give you some hope to keep working on your condition too. So what I did from that point on was I spent a lot of time researching online, reading books, gaining insight and other people's results in what they tried and tested for themselves. I looked at my health, I looked at my diet, and I started to make slow improvements. The biggest change for me was back about 7-8 years ago when I actually changed jobs and I trained to be a massage therapist. Little did I know that this would be the start of my new life and my new career. I thought I would just be a massage therapist, do it as a job, and that would be it. However, when you get into this world, and if you feel the way that I have felt when I found and discovered this world, there is so much knowledge out there. There are so many knowledgeable people out there, and it all builds upon each other. And when I started learning about the body and learning about the way that you can assist it through holistic health, it opens up a world of possibilities. I continued on doing my own research, and I tried and tested a lot of supplements, holistic medications, lifestyle changes, health changes in terms of healthy eating and things that I needed to move away from. I also became an Ayurvedic practitioner and studied under a well-known practitioner in order to gain more insight into my own health issues. So there's been lots of things over the years that I have taken on board. I now can say that I'm the healthiest I've ever been. Yes, I still struggle with my weight, I still struggle with my energy levels, but they are a million times better than they were when I was younger. This video, I hope, will give you some hope and will serve you in enabling you to know that there are other people like you out there. I'm with you, and I'm here to support you. This has only been my personal journey, and I am not perfect. I can only recommend and tell you about the things that have worked for me. But if you like this video and you would like to know more about what I have done to help heal my thyroid, the ways in which I live now which help support it, and the things that you can do to make a difference, then please subscribe and like this video, and I will be making another video for you very soon. Until next time guys, breathe in life every day. See you soon. If you haven't seen last week's video, then go ahead and click this video here where you can go and check that out.